Hey everyone, many of you had questions on how to use a hair oil, especially if you're prone to kapha aggravation, have sinus headaches, or in general have mucus buildup in the scalp. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how you should tailor make and how you should use your hair oil carefully, and also suggest changes in diet and lifestyle that you must adopt to bring down aggravated kapha in the head. First things first, why is hair oiling so important? As I have explained several times in the group before, the Ayurvedic texts tell us that hair oiling is a dinacharya. When you do it every day, it doesn't just take care of your hair growth. In fact, that's one of the smallest parts of what daily hair oiling can do for you. It actually helps calm down the brain, reduces anxiety, improves sleep. That's at night. Helps sharpen your mind and improve focus. Most importantly, it helps dissipate the vata and the pitta dosha which accumulate in the scalp every day due to the activity of the brain and the eyes. But some of us are subject to sinusitis. We tend to catch cold at the smallest provocation. Often our head feels heavy, we get one-sided headaches, and we suffer a lot with kapha aggravation. So in these cases, how do we successfully apply hair oil and get all those benefits without triggering this kapha aggravation? So the first thing to note about kapha aggravation is that the kapha is being stored in kapha-rich areas of the body. The head is one kapha-rich area because it contains kapha-rich brain and kapha-rich eyes. But here's the important thing to remember: it's not something which is somehow being produced in the head. This is kapha-rich secretions which are being produced throughout the body, which are then being stored in different kapha-rich parts of the body. So the reason you have sinusitis, or the reason you have mucus aggravation in the head, is because you have mucus aggravation throughout the body. So the kapha secretion and the production needs to be addressed if you want to bring down the kapha in the head. So there are three ways you can aggravate kapha through your diet. The first is eating kapha aggravating foods. The second is eating foods in the wrong order, so it ends up aggravating kapha. And the third is eating foods at the wrong time, so it again ends up aggravating kapha. Let's look at these briefly. We have longer blog posts on some of these. So eating kapha rich foods. So you know the kapha rich foods I'm going to talk about: curd, chocolate, sweets, desserts, oils. So anything which is high in fat, anything which is rich, anything which is sweet tends to aggravate kapha. So these, if you end up eating a lot of these foods, you're going to be storing a lot of kapha in the body, and that's going to be secreted and stored again in kapha rich regions throughout the body. The second thing is eating foods in the wrong order. Many of us end up eating dessert these days after meals. Now desserts after meals basically ends up being extra kapha and can get fermented and cause ama in the body, or toxins. So as I've explained before in the group, if you have to eat a dessert, it is best to be eaten at the beginning of the meal when you have enough agni in the body, in the digestive system, to digest it. If you eat desserts regularly after your meal, there is not enough agni, digestive agni left. So the fat, sweet food that you're eating at the end of your meal will just sit there, produce more kapha, and if you have a lot of kapha already accumulated, it will end up producing ama, causing illnesses, a drop in immunity, aches and pains, and other issues. The third issue is that we end up eating meals at the wrong times. Now, we have a very detailed blog post on what is the correct time to eat your meals, and you need to time your meals along with the sun, because the sun is the source of all agni, and especially jatar agni in the body. So if you are not using noon time to time your largest meal of the day, which is lunch, and you instead end up eating your lunch around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, which is well after the sun has peaked, then you are going to not have enough digestive agni to digest your food. The other thing that we end up doing is we end up scheduling a meal at the wrong time. So for example, we end up having a light lunch and a very heavy dinner. Dinner is usually post sunset, and the sun, because there is no sun, it is not enough to bolster the agni in your body. So that food is not digested well, and it again sits secreting kapha, and if it is not digested properly, or if we have excess kapha, it ends up becoming ama. So these are the 3 or 4 ways in which what we eat, how we eat, and when we eat can end up aggravating kapha in the body. So if you have excess kapha and if you have kapha problems in the head, you should be looking at all these aspects of eating and planning your meals. The second way we aggravate kapha is, of course, through lifestyle practices. Sleeping well into the kapha period, which is between 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning, can aggravate kapha. Having a very sedentary life without too much of activity or movement can aggravate kapha. Exercising at the wrong times or the wrong kind of exercise can be debilitating to the body, and we'll end up not exercising regularly and therefore aggravate kapha. Choosing the wrong times to sleep, for example, afternoon sleep in the Ayurvedic texts, is responsible for aggravating kapha. This must be avoided if you have a tendency towards excess kapha and excess mucus in the body. All these lifestyle practices which I explained can all aggravate kapha. So if you're doing some of these or all of these in conjunction with some of the diet issues or the way or the kapha aggravating ways of eating food that I mentioned in the earlier section, then definitely there will be an excess of kapha on the body which will find its way to different places in the body which are kapha rich, including the scalp. So why does a hair oil end up aggravating kapha further on the scalp? Well, it really depends on the kind of hair oil. One is if you apply unprepared, untreated oils like plain coconut oil, they have the highest chance of aggravating kapha because we have not changed their nature in any way. Oils by their very nature are snigdha or oily and kapha rich and nutrient rich. The richest of them is coconut oil, which has very strong madhura rasa and which is shitya in guna, which means it is cooling in nature. So if you use plain coconut oil in the head and you're already kapha prone, then you're going to definitely aggravate kapha. The second kind of oil that people use in the head are oils like sesame oil. Now sesame oil is marginally better than coconut oil because it has ushna guna, meaning it is slightly warming in nature. But again, because it is very snigdha, which is oily and nourishing, if you already have excess kapha in the head, it is even using plain sesame oil is going to aggravate it. There are plenty of other oils that people use on their hair like almond oil, argan oil, apricot oil. Now, I'm not going to be getting into the specific qualities of each of them, but any nut-based oil, especially nuts, rich nuts like almond and apricot, are again very snigdha and very nourishing, and they have a madhura rasa. So all of this, if you apply untreated on the hair without using herbs and without processing them in the Tirupaka Vidi method, they will end up aggravating kapha. So an Ayurvedic hair oil is not like any of the plain oils I mentioned. We process them with herbs. In Kriya, we actually add herbs like warming herbs like tulasi, maricha, which is black pepper, shunti, which is dried ginger, sometimes even jeera. Then why does even an Ayurvedic hair oil aggravate kapha? That's because we can only bring down the kapha aggravating properties of the oil, but we cannot alter it or transform it into something that it is not. So we can balance it in some way with the herbs, but the basic nature of oil is that it is nourishing, it is snigdha, and that's what we need for the scalp. Because if you don't have snigdha guna or nourishing and oiliness, then how will you bring down vata dosha, which increases when we use the brain creatively, when we talk a lot, right? So we need that, but we need to keep it in check. So in the next section, I'm going to talk to you about how to use the hair oil correctly so that it does not aggravate kapha greatly. Oil your hair in the morning and not in the evening or night. Why in the morning? And oil it around 8 or 9 a.m., which is halfway through or slightly towards the end of the kapha period. So oiling your hair in the morning is a great idea because your oil is going to slowly be absorbed by the scalp during the day. It's also very effective because the whole purpose of oiling your hair is to bring down the pitta and vata which accumulates during the day. So oiling it in the morning and letting it slowly seep in and work with your scalp is a great way of ensuring that you get the benefits of the oil and also do not end up aggravating your kapha. Why do I suggest oiling in the daytime? Because you're most active in the daytime. If you're going to be oiling in the evening or in the night when your activity levels are low, because your activity levels are low, your kapha will start increasing. So when you add a kapha rich substance like an oil on your head, then the whole thing will end up aggravating kapha. Yeah. Second thing is use little oil at a time. If you have a lot of kapha aggravation in the scalp, don't start with too much of oil. Start with little oil. By little I mean just a few drops or under a quarter teaspoon. Start with this small amount of oil and slowly, gradually increase the amount of oil you use per application. And always ensure that you massage extremely briskly in the scalp. Massage to the point that you generate heat. This helps the oil get absorbed and it also ensures that it doesn't sit thickly and heavily aggravating kapha. Movement is, sort of the enemy of kapha. So when you create movement in the scalp through the massage and through a vigorous massage, then you are already helping ensure that you're keeping kapha in balance. Third thing to do as a precautionary measure is to use Rasanai chudnam every single day. Many pitta kapha people tend to sweat heavily on the scalp. When you accumulate sweat which contains water also helps aggravate kapha. So it may not be the oil which is aggravating kapha, but also the sweat you're accumulating in the scalp. So every time, so for such people and for people who have a sweaty scalp, or who are in general kapha prone, using Rasanai chudnam every day is a very good choice. If your scalp is very sweaty, make sure that you dry it well with a towel and then use Rasanai chudnam. As a precautionary measure, always dry your scalp, especially if in the afternoon or in the evening you find it very sweaty. Make sure that your scalp is kept reasonably dry. Apply the Rasanai chudnam and inhale it. You can even apply it twice a day. This will help control minute amounts of kapha which are secreting in this area and keep it under check. Make sure you drink only boiled, slightly warm water. I know most of you are grown to hear this because no one likes drinking boiled water and many people do not like drinking warm water. But warmth is again the enemy of kapha. Kapha is cold, thick and moist. So anything that you drink which is hot and warm, eat or drink, helps keep kapha in balance. So ensure that you boil your water well and ensure that you drink it lukewarm. If you are unused to the taste of warm water, you can drink it at room temperature, but make sure you again train yourself to enjoy drinking warm water because that will keep kapha in check. So in this video, we actually discussed many ways to control kapha through diet, through lifestyle changes and through modifying the way you use the Kriya hair oil to ensure that you do not have kapha aggravation and heaviness in the head. I hope you found this video useful. Please do try all of this and let me know how it worked out well for you. Thanks for watching.